Hi guys, what a lovely day it is today. I just love it when it's sunny and you have those sorry, those white clouds and lovely blue sky. It's just so nice. Makes everything look uh, nice, everything looks beautiful. Even you look beautiful. Joking. Of course you look beautiful. All of you are beautiful, in your own way. Even those apparently ugly people, can be beautiful. And those beautiful people can be ugly inside. And yeah, I've often thought that you know as, as a bloke, when it comes to women, you can get, I think, some of the ugliest or not so attractive women could be like the most beautiful people inside, most beautiful women inside, and treat you really nice. And the really beautiful, pretty girls, I've found this actually in my limited experience in the UK, Italy, China, that those women who think they're beautiful, who know they're pretty, then they know they don't have to work so hard and they don't have to develop much of a character. Whereas those uglier women, or not ugly, but not so pretty, not so attractive, and some maybe ugly, I wouldn't call them ugly, but not so attractive. Mm, they know they're not attractive, and so they have to develop something. They have to develop a kind of a character, and in a way, it's a blessing. To be ugly is a blessing. You know, I'm sure in the Bible, some part of the Bible, it says that when I think when Jesus used to pass people, they used to turn round. Now, is it because he was ugly or not attractive? And you can see the Christians saying, "How dare you?" Well, look at this world and look at the people who are super attractive and super beautiful. They usually, you know, it it fills your ego up. It uh, caresses or massages the ego, and you become egotistical, don't you? Because you don't have to work. You become, you're like not like God, but like a goddess or a goddess, and you have a lot of power over people. You are attractive. You attract other human beings, and you're desirable. So I think beauty maybe isn't a Christian thing. Maybe it isn't a good thing. We see pictures of Jesus. He's so handsome, and Mary so beautiful. I wonder if it's the wrong way round. People are saying, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But when you look at pictures of Jesus and Mary, you assume they're going to be like one beautiful woman and a really handsome man. I don't know how this went on to Jesus and Mary. I'm just saying, beauty, they say, is in the eye of the beholder. But is beauty really important? Or would I say, no, no, hang on, you can't say, could you even say that beauty is evil and ugliness is a good thing? Wow, imagine that. I think the worst thing for a man is if he chooses an ugly wife. When I say ugly, I don't mean to offend. Not attractive, because I'm ugly myself. Compared to other men, um, DiCaprio, whatever. I'm ugly. I admit it. So I'm not just talking about people, myself. Um, and I'm not going to get offended if someone says you're ugly. Yeah, compared to others, I'm ugly. Compared to certain people, I'm maybe handsome. Other you guys might say it, I don't say it. or I might be the average, whatever. Anyway, I lost my train of thought now. I've been rambling. I have to get back to the beginning. Yeah, so yeah, is ugliness? Oh yeah, I tuned into my own train of thought. I'll go back to what I was going to say. And I've lost it again. No, I haven't. Here it is. So the worst thing for a bloke would be ugly wife, happy life, because he assumes that the ugly wife or the unattractive wife would have built up this character and isn't egotistical, doesn't go out or anything, and treats you like a king. But what happens if you what happens if you have the worst of both worlds? You have a lady that's not attractive, and in time she's going to become even less and less attractive, and she has a bad character as well, or her character changes. Then you have the worst of both worlds. I suppose the best of both worlds, if men secretly would think about this and harbor these thoughts, would be a beautiful wife and a beautiful character. Can you actually get that? Maybe. You probably you can. And one that won't divorce you in the future. Yeah, good luck with that. It can happen. But yeah, so my talk today, what is it about? So is the difference between beauty and ugliness. Do you think beautiful people and attractive people are really good people? Would you, most of us men, we just want a pretty woman, a pretty wife, a beautiful wife, a pretty face. But then, we some of us don't even think about the other qualities, character. And it's only until you've had a few relationships or a few divorces, then you realize that, going for a pretty face is just our stupid programming that we have. Because usually the symmetry, a beautiful face, a pretty face, usually kind of symmetrical body, beautiful body, it means that the woman is healthy and she can, have children, have healthy children. She's healthy enough to have children, to procreate or whatever. And so that's how we're programmed. A woman is programmed to have the strongest man, or the man that can give her and her offspring security in the future. Those are the basics. Some women won't agree, but that's the basic idea, how we're programmed, how we've evolved, or for Christians, how we've evolved over the last few thousand years, how we're made. But anyway, what do you guys think about that? What's the difference between beauty and ugliness? Are ugly people really ugly? You might get people who are, and how do we calculate if a person is ugly or beautiful? Is it the symmetry, where if the eyes are too close or too far apart, if we're bald, or the shape of our teeth? Some people have got those buck teeth, sticking out here. Big nose, like squash nose, or certain types of eyes or whatever. And as you get old, you get these things called jowls, these things sticking down here, and these big and as my friend that actually said, she said, I've got a double chin, so I better start ironing that out, doing some kind of, so vain. Yeah, so what's your take on ugliness and beauty? Not attractive and attractive. Does it really matter? If you think about it, for you men out there, when you meet a woman, a beautiful young woman, that's the best you're gonna get. Everything is downhill from there on in, from that point, because you probably see her, she's young, she's got makeup on, she's at the peak of her beauty, like 25, 28, 30. And yeah. So anyway, what do you guys think about that? I've been told I have to leave now. See you guys in another video. Spiral upwards and see you later, alligator.